Welcome back to the next installment of the HellUvaWillys build. I think it's episode 10. Yeah, it's going well. It's going a lot faster than I expected it to as we started diving deeper into the hard stuff. In the last episode, we went through and got our trunk hinges installed. The inner trunk is swinging, and we also did a lot of cage work. It's not installed, it's tacked together. I did go through and get the passenger side down bar finished up. The first one took me like over 4 hours. I think it was like 4 hours and 30 minutes to do, 4 hours and 20 minutes, somewhere in there. The second one took me 35 minutes. Yeah, so that's why templating is very important, is because like once you get one, the second one goes really fast. On this week's episode, we're gonna start getting the trunk lid fit and get our steel installed, have it all glued in, and get the trunk skin glued on, so we can start actually seeing this car in its full glory. As long as that goes well and quickly, I'm going to try and hard mount the 3-piece front end on this 4-piece front end, because I need to get that set up before I do the radiator work, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to cut the front frame horns on this thing to get the radiator to work correctly for the Hellcat setup. It's a little nerve-wracking, but it can't be any harder than the roll bar. I think that was probably the hardest part of this entire build, and my hardest snag, I guess, for the most work of getting in and out of the car. I think we counted, there was like 72 in and outs during the build on the cage. I bet you I have several hundred at this point, just with different stuff. But yeah, I want to get started on that. I have a little bit extra time this weekend because it's Labor Day. Obviously, we're supposed to be taking, work off and all this stuff. That doesn't happen when you work for yourself. Fun stuff. But if you like what you've been seeing, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, go check out my other videos. I've got a lot of other stuff that's going on. I'm going to be getting back on a CNC router here soon and diving deeper into the 3D printing stuff, as we're going to be making emblems for this thing and other custom parts on the 3D printer. And yeah, a lot of stuff going on all the time, on top of working at the shop constantly. It's been a busy couple of years, but we're getting there. So with that being said, I'm Zach Leber. This is the Laboratory. Let's get to work, guys. To get started, we're going to have to go through and grind all the spots that the steel is going to get installed on our inner. We have pads that have to go up here that the bolts are going to thread into. Well, we won't have any nuts or anything up here. We'll also have a pad on each side right here about the midpoint, that when the linear actuators get installed, they'll have a good spot to push against, because I want this trunk to lift on its own when you hit the Hellcat key fob button for the trunk. I think that'll be a really cool feature it shows. We're going to do the same thing with the hood too. I'm stoked. And then we have to put one more piece of steel down here for the actual latch itself. We'll be going outside as well and grinding the trunk skin on the inside and just getting the fitment rough and close to where it needs to be. I'm gonna have a lot of body work and stuff to do to get everything perfect, so I'm not super worried about fitment right off the rip here. I just want to get it on and get it as close as I possibly can. That way I don't have to do a lot more grinding once everything's set up. Let's get to it. Now guys, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Fiberglass is super abrasive. You need to protect your lungs, your eyes, your hands. I'm not great about it with the hands thing, because my hands are pretty much leather at this point compared to all the glass that I've cut and ground over the years. But I do pay attention to my lungs. I try not to do a lot of grinding or anything without some type of cover over my face. I hear that lung transplants are kind of expensive, so yeah. Pay attention. Wear your PPE, your personal protective equipment. Little PSA. Now, I already have the pads up here ground, and where the pad's going to go down here ground. So all we really have to do is get the linear actuator pads ground up. I went outside and got the inside of the skin all ground up. That way we have good adhesion. Also, ground the pad locations. We have all 5 taken care of at this point. Now, I'm going to put these leftovers from the A-pillars in here. Like that. So I'm going to do these parts tonight. Get those pulled down, and that'll actually pull the inner down to where it needs. And we'll throw that guy in just because we're mixing glue up. And don't forget, guys, ratchet straps are your friends in these builds. It just needs to cover a general area. That's why I'm using these pieces instead of something smaller. Stop. I knew that was going to be a short pull on that. Empty. So putting the steel in the way we did eliminated the spring back on the inner. So now she's sitting down inside the jamb compared to above it, which is exactly what we want. We have to still put our pads in up here and get everything bolted in, glued down. So we're going to do that next. We'll get the pads drilled and tapped and glued on here, and then we'll start fitting our skin and get her glued in today. So this is all stuff I will cure after the fact. That didn't sound good. Here's the plates we're going to use from our steel kit. Already ground on one side. I don't worry about both. You guys probably won't be able to see this part really well, but I'm basically backing out all the bolts. I'm going to bring my hinge down. That sucked. Bring my hinge down. Now we're going to bring this as far down as we can, because we know that we got the ridge to worry about. And guys, you don't need to worry about it being perfectly square or anything like that, because honestly, nobody's ever going to see this again. Unless you want to like cut your panel back apart, which I don't recommend. Let's come back in with my marker. Let's keep her straight. Outline the hole. Now, I learned my lesson a while ago. You want to make sure that you drill and tap from the side that you are going to glue, because if you do it the opposite direction, you'll obviously not line up sometimes. But we're going to mark forward, and then we're going to put pass. So that way we know that it's got to aim towards the front of the car and it's for the passenger side. And I apologize if you guys can't see this that well. There's just not a good spot to put them. But that's what we end up with. And then we're just going to mark that too. Forward drive. Put some down the base, some right in the middle here. And then it will squeeze out all over the place. And I'm pretty generous with the wax because I wanted to kind of coat the inside of the hinge side. Probably shouldn't have left that right there, huh? I gotta put my hat down. Siri. I'm gonna take this guy. No, this ain't gonna be easy. See, I normally do this outside the car. I wasn't thinking. Of course I wasn't thinking. I don't know how I got that on the first hit. So my battery died again. Anyways, we got our plates in, and what that did was it raised the back up a little bit, which is perfect because I was trying to figure out how I was going to get it to pop up a little bit up in the crown area. So now we're going to go through and we are going to test fit the skin. Areas that I'm pointing out from the lid are the areas that I'm going to grind the inner down, and where they're pointing into the lid I'm going to add fiberol. Right there. Just take a bunch of material out of it. We now have everything fit up correctly. I didn't realize that my battery died like twice. But we're gonna go through, we're gonna use the glue gun and get this thing glued in. Finally. I'm gonna use quite a bit of glue. Shockingly had enough. And we're going to take our skin here. I already blew all this off and wiped it down. And we're going to go up high over. And we're going to take our skin here that I already wiped down. And we're going to go up high over top of it and come down until she falls in. That way we don't get glue on everything. Kind of like I just did. And kind of slipped out of my hands. So I'm going to get her set into place. And then I will use some spreaders because they're flexible to shove this thing up to where it needs to go. It does not need to be this tight against the bottom. We're going to go like that. Set that one right there. This way, we can get this thing to go right in exactly where we want it to. This side. And then what we'll do is we'll use ratchet straps to pull her down to where she needs to go. It's going to be dang nice. I'm actually going to take this guy back out of there because she's fitting really tightly. And we want to leave it as oversized as possible so we have plenty to work with when we do our body work. We'll grab a ratchet strap. We're going to start low. The reason I like to do that is I can force towards the top of the lid and it'll make sense later. Look, we got a pretty good place to ratchet it. We get really close right off the rip. We'll grab a couple more of these guys because they're here. Normally I use paint sticks, but that's what I got. Get that to drag in. From there. And sometimes it is difficult to find a good place to pull from. But you have 20 minutes to get everything set up, so panicking about it isn't gonna help you that much. What I like to do is go up into the middle, pull across, and then you can just slide them right up underneath. And that will pull your piece down. And you'll hear stuff cracking. It's not what you think. It's literally just the well in here that I gotta trim away at some point because I still have to go up like 2 inches or so. I'm really happy with that fit. Add a couple more to here so it pulls down on it. And she looks really nice. Use one up here in the middle. I do like to keep the trunk a little bit higher here in the peak, like just so it's just above the main line. And that way I got plenty to play with if I'm still skipping onto the jam itself. And now we wait 45 minutes. It's time for dinner. I've let the glue sit for about an hour or so. For now, the nice thing about having the adjustable hinges is if we end up a little too high up here, you can always drop it back down. See how it doesn't bounce back? I normally just find a little pick. Sometimes the glue does get stuck. Alright. She can sure go up a long way. Those hinges are awesome. Nice and stiff. Perfect. So then I'm going to put some type of actuator down there to push somewhere in the wheel well, and it'll hook right here. I just got to figure out how to do it. She still rubs a little bit, but I know exactly where it's hitting now. Yeah. I'm shocked I was able to get clearance for the motor, and I don't really have to cut anything. That never happens. Well, we got a lot done today. We were able to get the trunk skin fit, glued, and installed. It went really well. Got the car put back together, sorta-ish, so that way we could at least see it in its glory and start getting things mocked up for the front end. And started on the radiator mock-up, which is going to end up being a lot of work, I'm pretty sure. I have a lot to do up there, so I'm gonna cut it here because I'll end up being out here till 3 in the morning, and I simply don't want to do that anymore. We're gonna have to go through and build some new braces that are going to come out from the old frame horns. I did cut the lengths off, but I'm still going to use those to widen it out, and then that'll actually be the main brace start, I guess. It's going to take a little while, but I got my measurements. I got everything I need to get my templates made up so I can go over on the plasma table at the shop and cut everything out I need, and then next weekend I can come here and tack weld everything together. Shouldn't be too bad. I think on the next episode, we're going to obviously go through all of that process and start getting into the custom dash, which I'm excited about. I was able to get some big sheets of foam from a friend of mine over at Emerald FX, and gonna cut that and hopefully make a cool looking dash that kind of looks like a Challenger dash. Somewhat. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But until next time, I'm Zach Leber. This is The Laboratory. Go build something. See you guys.